Hey everybody, Alex here once again, and welcome back to Engine Gaming. And today I will be comparing Trackmania Nations to Trackmania Nations Forever. So, that you aren't confused, Trackmania Nations is the remake of Trackmania Nations, a 2006 game. From now on, when I talk about the game Trackmania, it will be referring to the new game, and Trackmania Nations Forever will be abbreviated to TMNF. First of all is the downloading process of each game. TMNF is free and on Steam, and the download is quick. You have to create an account, but it is quick and easy. But Trackmania, on the other hand, has a free-to-play version available only on Epic Games, which are probably about as greedy as EA. So I had to get Epic Games, which is terrible. Steam is better. And for Trackmania, I had to get a Ubisoft account and had about 5 emails in my inbox by now for two-factor authentication, confirm email, and everyone wants to play the game. Yes, I know for safety it is required to have confirm email and two-factor authentication, but we just want to jump into the game immediately. Trackmania Nations Forever gameplay is actually quite good for a 2008 game, and I was slowly brought back into the game after watching a few videos by Virtual, linked to his channel in the description, and was exposed to TMNF speedrunning. The graphics for a 2008 game are reasonable, and the handling model is actually pretty good. Trackmania, however, not so much. You can't play other people's campaigns in the free version or access the advanced track builder. While the simple Trackmania builder does allow you to build with most of the terrain in the game, Trackmania supports paying a subscription to have more access to the game and have a better experience. EA. Another thing to note is the default steering sensitivity is a lot more sensitive than in the TMNF game, and can be a shock to TMNF veterans and first-time players. Neither games actually have a built-in tutorial, but in TMNF campaign, the track names that start with A are sort of a tutorial and show you the core basics of the game, and Trackmania has the training levels, which are a bit sort of, you find out the mechanics of the game sort of on your own. You have nothing helping you, no tips, no tricks. You don't learn about the Ramstein bug, which in TMNF is the border of terrain pieces, where there's a chance the car sort of crashes and lifts off partly, losing time. And when I was in the process of scripting this video, Trackmania sort of grew on me, and although it is sharper and more refined, it basically sums up every EA or Epic game. Note how I am saying Epic game, referring to games made by the company Epic Games. In no way, shape or form am I saying that Minecraft LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga is a game that is either free or you pay £55 just to have Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker unlocked, and has too many in-app purchases and seasons which create even more reason to steal your mum's credit card, and too many crossovers that make people think that The Mandalorian is from Fortnite. Every time there is a subscription required for a game, a lot of people say that it is a bad idea and it separates players. At release, WCCF Tech talked a lot about this, and I'll link it somewhere in the video if I remember. If not, tell me. I forget these things. And how the Ubisoft made maps are badly created and prevents shortcuts, which if you watch pretty much any virtual video, they are synonymous with the the Trackmania series, especially TMNF. Highlights to the review are with it offering multiple challenges of speed, control, obstacles and more that results in it being more a method of memorization than skill. I've gone into some user-created tracks expecting them to be there simply to be grief or be near on impossible for us average mortals. Tracks by Ubisoft Nadio? I wouldn't have thought so. Still, I managed it eventually, so what am I taking umbrage with? I'd say the learning curve. Yeah, that's likely the biggest bugbear I have with Trackmania. Even having played the limited version for my preview, it still took me some getting used to the older boosts and obstacles. The tutorial is way too thin on the ground. Nothing is actually explained, and this is something that permeates throughout every aspect of the game. Now, next, for some reason, I want to compare this game to iRacing. The reason being, iRacing is a subscription game priced depending on how long you want to have a subscription for. iRacing has three intro offers: 1 month, 6 months, and 1 year, with the prices being as shown. I'll be using only the £110 option for 1 year, as for Trackmania packages come in either 1 or 3 year subscriptions. The 1 year standard access for Trackmania is £8.59. iRacing is a very realistic game, and Trackmania for most players is casual. Looking at what was said about Trackmania's subscription, it doesn't seem that bad. But if you subscribe to iRacing, you get exactly what iRacing offers. No tiers, no pay to win, no loot boxes. That is good monetization, but a subscription isn't ideal for most people, and I include myself in this. £110 seems a lot, but it's the same as paying £55 every 6 months. Another thing is that Assetto Corsa, a game that is still alive even 5 years after release, and actually not 5, 7 years after release, and 5 years since the last update, is still being kept alive because of the modding community for PC versions. I don't mod. I do not have a clue how to mod the game, and a lot of the mods I play for the game are actually very good. But I got Assetto Corsa when I was on sale for like 85% off. When it was like £3.50, something like that. And I only got the base game, no DLC. So it is a little disappointing to not get all the DLC. Yes, there's Assetto Corsa Ultimate Edition, which is just Assetto Corsa and all the DLC included. But at the time, I couldn't pay for like 30-40 quid. And now, if you ask me, if you want to pay more than £20 on a game, wouldn't get it. Either there are other cheaper options available which are moddable and have mods for the licensed content, or at least some of the licensed content, or it's just an EA game. Look at Codemasters games. Since F1 2019, there are 2 versions of the game: the base game and the extra edition, which adds £10 on it and a couple new cars. It's not worth, in my opinion, to buy it every year, especially since they cost 45-55 quid. £20 is what you want. Normally, £20 games are better than £45. They have a better experience, less DLC, less loot boxes, less. A one-time payment is a lot easier for most. And that's a fact. And I'm comparing a realistic game to a casual game. And it isn't advisable to do that. It's targeted for different audiences and therefore cheaper and making it more accessible. But Trackmania overall isn't great and it has a lot to be improved. Potential it has, and monetization isn't the way. This is the way. There's probably a way to turn down the sensitivity in the settings, but the UI is bland and difficult to navigate. You get mixed up with things, okay? As I record this, Exuma Void put out a video, a Hermitcraft video, and basically they were looking at statistics, and every time Exuma Void looked at his, he opened the options menu before actually opening the statistics, and the statistics is way outside of the options menu. I wouldn't say that Minecraft's UI is bad, it's hard to navigate, but literally there's so much stuff in the game, and so much of it is behind the paywall. Club, the highest tier in Trackmania, is a bit too expensive and doesn't really add much more to the game. I'd price it at around 50% more standard if it was up to me. And it's like £25. As I haven't played iRacing, I won't talk much about the gameplay, and to be honest, I hear it's very good. But iRacing focuses on American racing and endurance like WC and IndyCar instead of Formula 1. The most recent F1 car in the game is the McLaren Honda MP430, which is from 2015. And if you know anything about that car, you'd know that it was powered by an engine that could barely last an entire race. If you want F1 content in a full-blown sim, you want Grand Prix 4, which you can get it on free because it's so old no one actually cares much about it. Or any other respectable sim that isn't Assetto Corsa Competizione. The other respectable sim includes BMG. Seems shocking, but there are a lot of mods that have F1, F2 car resemblance. Any game on PC is moddable. And there are a lot of mods with it. I still have that lawnmower mod for Assetto Corsa that I've rarely ever used because I'm not good at driving a lawnmower. But it's a question I asked when I was making this video. Is Trackmania worth getting? Yes, it is. But only the standard access for £8.60. And I heavily recommend to people that don't play racing games much, especially arcade games like Trackmania, to try the free version first to see if it's really your thing. I know that to most £8.59 isn't a lot, but it's a 1-year subscription. I doubt you'll get your money back if you cancel it. I don't want anyone watching this video, which, to be honest, isn't that many, to get club access immediately without trying it. And regret it. And I'm sure you don't want that watching this as well, because you don't want to pay a certain amount of money for something you aren't good at. I learned that the hard way. I paid, when I first got Motorsport Manager, it's £25. I also got the free DLC because just get them. That's what you do. But I wasn't that great at it. But by the time I realised I had like 60 hours on it, so I couldn't refund it on Steam. And before I got Motorsport Manager, I tried getting Artifact 2, which didn't work on. Let's be honest, it's not a laptop I used, it's a potato. Okay? No question. The problem I have is that I'm pretty much, the only thing I'm good at is being bad at everything. And this is a long-winded video. 16 minutes and 39 seconds now. And I waffled a bit too much. I have the script in front of me, and I decided to follow it and add a lot more extra. Because, I mean, aside from being bad at everything, that's probably the only thing I'm good at. Yes, practice. Practice makes perfect. That's true. But £25 is quite a bit of money. And I did get a bit better at Motorsport Manager. The Final Fantasy 21 allows you to simulate the race. That's what I do. And there's also a mod online that just does everything for you, which I started using recently. So, what should I do now? Probably end the video. I was about to ask a question that I answered earlier on in the video. I'm very good at doing that, actually. I keep on coming up with things that I'm good at. But I'm going to end the video. That's all from me. And goodbye.